and welcome back to another Exos hero video. And today the new Summer Festa event has dropped, and with it comes the first of a string of new Fate cores. And that's the one we're looking at right now, FC Scarlet. So in this video we'll take a quick look at what she has to offer, and obviously more importantly, whether she's worth your axes. So a quick look at her kit. FC Scarlet is getting a pretty comprehensive upgrade, so both her A1 and A2 are getting upgraded in terms of higher damage. So I think her base A1 does 142 damage to all enemies at 3 mana cost. Now with the Fate core it goes up to 178 damage, so just a straight up damage boost. Same thing to her A2 as well. It used to be 285% damage to all at a 5 mana cost. Now it goes up to 357% damage to all enemies at 5 mana cost, and also has the burst component. But obviously at 5 mana cost, unless you upgrade her to 6 star, you're not going to benefit from the burst, but it's still good to have. And her passive still has the mana utilization 2, which is quite surprising. I thought it'd be upgraded to mana utilization 3. So I think she'll still run into a little bit of a mana issue at some point. Also, she still have the Shelter Investigator passive, so it's always good to have that just as kind of an added bonus. The biggest change that comes with the Fate core are probably her new Fate core passives. So the first new passive is Ice Shower, and what it does is if the caster, in this case Scarlet, has a removable buff or a recovery, some sort of HP recovery per turn, or a positive effect applied to them, then with each attack they will apply the Frosty Bolt buff, or debuff in this case, on the target. And what Frosty Bolt debuff does is it essentially functions as a stun, so the opponent will not be able to move or use any of their skills. So this is actually pretty good given that she has 2 AoE attacks, so it really synergizes well with her kit. The only thing I would point out is that it doesn't last very long, so it only lasts 3 turns. So the likelihood of, this proccing on multiple targets is probably not as high as you would imagine, but it's still good to have. And the second new passive, and in my opinion the more interesting of the two, is a Summer's Blessing. So let's take a look. Summer's Blessing. At the beginning of the battle, it grants a frost damage immunity only 1 time to all allies. And this is pretty good, especially given that, we do see a lot of frost heavy teams in the current meta, a lot of teams running Battery, so it can be a good counter there. But it doesn't end with the frost damage immunity, it also grants all your allies an attack buff equal to 50% for 9 turns when the frost damage immunity effect is removed. So I think that's really good actually. A pretty nice team-wide attack buff and lasts 9 turns, which essentially guarantees that every single one of your heroes will be able to utilize that. So it's pretty good. As I mentioned before, it's great against a frost heavy team. A lot of teams nowadays run Battery, which obviously, that makes sense given that Battery has a very strong kit herself. So this could be a viable counter to her. It's worth pointing out that the immunity buff will not proc Wrath or Dragon Blood, so that's something to watch out if you do have Dragon Emperor Knights. When they have the frost damage immunity on them, when they get attacked by Battery, they will not counter. So something to keep in mind. So with all that being said, now it's the million-dollar question here. Should you pull for her? Yeah, that's a really difficult decision to make. Not necessarily because I don't like her kit, but more so because we know there are more Fate cores to come, and at this point, without any more information, it's hard to justify dumping all of your resources on her. I think if we're only looking at the Fate core upgrades, the Fate core Scarlet is now, I think, able to rival other fated heroes such as Sabrina or just the normal Maggie. The unique passive Ice Shower synergizes really well with her ability and provides her with great CC, while Summer's Blessing offers additional value situationally, right, if you're up against the Frost team. So it's pretty good, but I think the fact that she doesn't have an upgrade to her mana utilization means that in a lot of situations she'll still run into some mana issues, which is something that I have experienced with base Scarlet. And in this situation, you probably just focus on spamming her A1, which is typically what I normally do. And when you comparing her to some of the other kind of the top tier fire heroes, I still don't think she is quite up to par. The likes of FC Annie and FC Maggie I think still outshines her in a lot of different areas. Especially with FC Annie, I think in PvP situations, it's just still a much better alternative than what FC Scarlet can offer. And I think Maggie also brings a little bit more utility to other areas of the game. So if you do have FC Annie or FC Maggie at this point, I would say, save up your resources and not waste them on Scarlet. But hey, at the same time, if you just want to add her to your collection or you just like the way she looks aesthetically, I guess go for it. I think her kit is definitely not weak. So if you do get her, I think there are a lot of places you can insert her into your team and still utilize her to a good level. But for a lot of the free-to-play players out there, I would say, don't waste your resources on her right now and save yourself from a heavy dose of buyer's remorse. But with that being said, that's all we have on Fate Core Scarlet. Let us know if you have a different opinion. Let us know if you think we misunderstood any of her skills. And if you're interested in other Exos hero related content, feel free to check out our other videos as well. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.